Thank you all for joining us this morning for our weekly call for community solutions hosted by the Forbes Funds. We have hosted these calls weekly since March of 2020 to provide nonprofits with resources and updates, a shared space to discuss challenges because of COVID-19, a brief policy overview from what we are seeing at the federal and state levels, and updates from subject matter experts. Since that time, the Forbes Fund has hosted many meetings. We will begin the call with a brief introduction of our speaker. If you want to move down. William Reeves Ferran is the project manager for Decarbonization PA United. William has and continues to work with legislators in the region on local, state, and national coalitions and works with the community, empowering them to become self-sufficient. Prior to this role, he served as community policy organizer at Casa San Jose. William graduated from Duquesne University in May of 2021 with a BA in political science and Spanish. He worked as a legislative intern for the county legislator, Margaret Hunzo, on the Westchester Board of Legislators in the summer of 2019. In addition, he served as an intern for the Westchester Community Department of Corrections Litigation Unit in 2017. William is driven by the fact that his mother is an immigrant from Cuba and that everyone should have the right to achieve the American dream and prosper in the United States, regardless of their immigration status. To do so, our first step is to pass legislation that alleviates or removes the barriers that Latino immigrant population faces here in southwestern Pennsylvania. Want to introduce William and have him begin his presentation.
Thank you, MJ. I really appreciate the introduction here. So pleasure to meet everyone on this call. So glad that we could have so many come to listen to our project currently. Obviously in my bio, I'm very immigrant rights focused, and that was, due to once again, my upbringing and my background with Casa San Jose. But currently, I'm with Pennsylvania United, based out of the north side. That I'm the project manager for decarbonization, and Pennsylvania United is a C4. Pittsburgh United is our C3. So I'm representing Pittsburgh United today in terms of our C3, and both of the organizations work around organizing working class people and helping them to realize their collective power and work towards transformative change in their communities. So in terms of what I am working on, I can just jump in the presentation, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, wonderful. Everyone can see my screen?
I can.
Okay, wonderful. All right. So in terms of the nexus as to why I was hired with Pittsburgh United is really after the Inflation Reduction Act and many other federal policies that opened up a lot of money for infrastructure. There was a interest in the region to ensure that this money is seen by working class people, lower income people as well, and people that really deserve assistance. We want to ensure that we were able to provide that access to them. So one of the funding sources that was opened up through the IRA is the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant, CPRG. So the Climate Pollution Reduction Grant really is aimed towards improving infrastructure in a green sense. So, it's ensuring that we're able to improve current infrastructure to be more energy efficient, and have lower carbon footprint, in addition to ensuring that we're able to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. and for any new structures that they're energy efficient and have a lower carbon footprint as well. So Pittsburgh United, and I'll get to the other organizations that are involved with us. We had conversations directly with the city and the county to build a vision to decarbonize all of the buildings that are owned and operated by the county and the city of Pittsburgh. So when we're talking about decarbonize, I'm sure there's some, that are want to kind of have a better understanding about that. So in this sense, when we're talking about decarbonization, we want to improve the efficiency of buildings that are owned and operated by the city and the county. So we're talking about weatherization, envelope improvements. So we're talking about weatherization, envelope improvements. It's improving insulation. It's improving, it's ensuring that the unit and the structures themselves are not leaking out heat and cool air during the different seasons. In addition to improvements in glazing and windows. Once again, for the same premise to ensure that the heating and cooling can stay in, and we're not, residents or buildings are not throwing money out the window because they're not properly insulated. In addition, this also encompasses all properties that are owned and operated by the county and the city housing authorities. And we want, through this project specifically, is to create a foundation to decarbonize all public buildings. We want to ensure that we're able to, through these federal dollars, build a foundation to where it can become sustainable for local state governments to be able to support these types of initiatives to continue the progress in terms of decarbonizing, publicly owned buildings by the city and the county. In addition, one of the other major tenets that's super important to this campaign is organizing the building trade, specifically labor, around the importance of green jobs and creating a robust local workforce hiring structure to bring local residents into the trades. So the climate pollution reduction grant project proposal itself, I always say in a lot of meetings when I'm presenting this project is you have to have a match light the candle here. So the match here is we're looking to fully decarbonize 6 public housing locations, 2 of which are owned by the Housing Authority of the City of Pittsburgh, and 4 which are owned by the Allegheny County Housing Authority. As you can see, due to the pictures, there is a large, variation of different types, different typologies of buildings we're looking to decarbonize. 2 are high rises, the one in Springdale, the one in Blonox, and also multiple townhome communities as well. You can see to the number of units, we're talking about almost 1,000 units. I mean, it's 800 or 900, but it's very much so up there. When we're talking about units, some of these units are 4 or 5 bedrooms, depending on the location. So it's very important to recognize that thousands of residents that are in public housing currently would be affected by this proposal. The project proposal itself is $37 million amongst the 6 properties. In addition, at the bottom, you can see that all of the greenhouse gas reduction estimates through metric tons of CO2 that would be reduced over a 25-year period from 2025 to 2050. And it's really important to recognize as well, and I want to point this out, when we were working with the county and city governments, all 6 of these properties were picked for this proposal due to the fact that these 6 properties were on a very high priority list for both county housing authorities to implement repairs to existing systems that are in these properties. So really this money is covering a delta to get all of these properties above code. Because for some of these properties, Springdale, for example, they just need to repair their their HVAC system. So, this money would also help to make, when they're putting in that new HVAC system, to be more energy efficient. At the same time, we're able to insulate the mechanical room and the roof. So heat and cool air is not like leaking out. and residents aren't paying more for utilities, or the building managers and the housing authority isn't paying more for utilities, and we're working on how we can trickle down those savings to the residents themselves. Besides the technical component in the properties and decarbonizing them, it's also very important to recognize that we want to provide access to transformative careers here. This kind of goes back to what we're talking about when doing decarbonization. So, like I said, it's the weatherization. We're also looking to install geothermal heat systems for all of these properties, electrification of all the appliances, and installation of rooftop solar. So, there's going to be many different components going into all of these properties to decarbonize them. So we want to ensure at the same time that we're providing access to residents that take an active role in transforming their communities. So currently, right now, we're building relationships. We're looking to build relationships with the tenant councils of these 6 properties. So when this money is implemented and granted to the city and the county, we have existing relationships with them that can work with the building trades to help organize residents that need work and that are very interested in the building trades, to give them access to the building trades. We want to ensure that we're providing access to BIPOC residents and women, giving them that pipeline, that pathway to get into the building trades and have good union jobs that are family sustaining and able to help support them moving forward. So in terms of partners, I'm sure this is a huge question in terms of who is working with us. We're working directly with the county and the city. We're also working with Carl Redwood at the Pittsburgh Black Workers Center, the Southwestern Pennsylvania Municipal Project Hub, Brittany Reno, that was kind of incubated out of the Heinz Endowments. We're also working with the Ohio River Valley Institute, the International Painters and Allied Trades, Local District Council 57, the Black Environmental Collective out of Urban Kind, Pennsylvania Utility Law Project, Keystone Energy Efficiency Alliance, Partner for Work, Action Housing, and Pittsburgh Gateway. So each organization here really has a unique role and why they're at the table with us. As you can see, some are more environmentally focused that are providing us technical assistance. The Black Workers Center, for example, they're helping us in terms of organizing renters, and Pittsburgh Gateways, Partner for Work, and helping us with the workforce narrative. And we're actually working with Felicity Williams at the city with the Workforce Hub as well. So, there isn't a disconnect there. We're actively working together to see how our 2 cohorts and coalitions can complement each other. So kind of just going back, this similar slide around, city and county collaboration. When we came to them, especially around this money, there, I guess, wasn't a lot of clarity in terms of vision where this money could go. So we helped incubate this idea with them around decarbonizing all public buildings, and this is, like I said, that's how we came to this conclusion around these properties. In addition, part of the larger vision as well is we're looking to implement neighborhood scale green zones. So, working in disadvantaged communities and being able to, replace the lead line replacement in addition to fully decarbonizing them. So we're, creating communities that are safe and sustainable at the same time. So I want to focus a little bit on the painters, just because the painters have played such an integral role with us with this project, which has really been great. They've been working with us since September, before I even was brought on in January. And, they've been acting as our building trades liaison. They've helped to garner support from, the totality of the Pittsburgh building trades, open the door for us to develop closer relations with the operating engineers and the insulators as well. And they've definitely helped us with engagement with public officials and, promotion of the project that we're working on within their circles. We've developed robust relationship with the national, the international IUPAD as well because of this. And in terms of their goals, why they're bought into this is they want to create work for their members, and they really see this as a scalable way to provide access for local workforce hire initiatives and to grow their membership in the city and the wider county amongst BIPOC and women residents. So, one thing, before we get into the Q&A, I want to talk about the timeline a little for this money. I'm not sure if everyone here was involved with the Southwestern Pennsylvania Commission's Climate Pollution Reduction Grant process, but in terms of that timeline, I'm praying, a lot of people are praying and advocating in DC to get this money awarded from the EPA in July. That's the official timeline, and I know from the EPA that funding awards would be announced. And in terms of this, according to the SPC's competitive process, they're looking to have this money awarded and granted to local awardees by end of October. So these projects would be projects that would be in development and shovel ready and actively start before the end of the year. We're actively working diligently to ensure that everything's in place. So when the money is granted, we can hit the ground running. I know this is a lot, and I, definitely gave a lot of information there. So I'd be happy to go back into any part of the presentation, ask for clarification, in addition to answering other questions or concerns that someone may have. Thank you.
William, can you go over we work with the UN SDGs. Can you go over the different ways that you're going to be touching upon those the UN SDGs through your project? And Bree can share a PowerPoint that we have with those on there.
Yeah, you can share that PowerPoint. Yeah. I will go over that.
Just be a moment.
Okay.
If anybody else wants to share any questions in the chat, please feel free. So within go ahead, William.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So in terms of Thea, just before I hop into the other question, the award or the funding has not been awarded to the SPC yet. We're anticipating on that being awarded. Because of that, we're also looking to alternative funding sources through that were opened up by the federal government as well. This isn't the only funding source that we're investing in, but we want to ensure that the project proposal itself and the full amount was awarded, it would cover the budget that was needed to complete all of this work. We want, in terms of sticking to the goals here, we want to ensure that through this we're providing a better or it's providing a safe, built environment in neighborhoods, creating sustainable neighborhoods as well. And we're building up the, organizing power of the community and deepening the relationships with the community themselves and the building trades, for example, which haven't always been the best relationships, especially amongst the BIPOC community. So we want to ensure that we're able to close those gaps and deepen the relationships between the two, and have a common understanding for problems that have occurred in the past, and be able to overcome those in terms of, in going back to social detriments of health around economic stability. We want to ensure that we're able to, good through good provide access to good careers amongst amongst the residents in these properties, and ensuring that we're able to lower bills and possibly bring community savings as well.
Thank you for that.
Of course. Any other questions?
Here in the chat from Thea that says, have the funds been awarded to SPC, or are you anticipating them being awarded?
No, I thought I already answered that, but I'm happy to re-answer it again. Once again, Thea, like I said, the funds have not been awarded yet to the SPC. That's why I was going over the timeline before we had the Q&A. The money would be, in terms of the funding announcements, they would be announced in July, and then the anticipation for the actual tangible award giving that would be given to the SPC would be in October, and that's why they would be the SPC, through their own competitive process over the summer. Once the EPA releases the list of grantees for local and state partners, that's why through that competitive process, by the time the money is physically awarded or granted to the SPC in October, then that money can be divvied up to the awardees of the local competitive process as well. Happy to elaborate on that. Any other questions? I just want to say as well, like, if anyone would like to learn more about this work and the larger vision, and if any others are interested in being involved, I'm gonna put my contact information in the chat, and feel free to shoot me a text and/or email as well. And I'd love to have a deeper conversation as well for anyone that was interested around this work.
Thank you. We wanted to give you some updates. Thank you, William, for spending time with us today and sharing about your programming. Wanted to give you some updates on some cohorts that we are launching in July and August. AI cohorts 2.0. We are moving forward with our Skilly AI assisted humanity centered. So the first cohort is on the AI assisted humanity centered strategic design in the box. And what it is your organization currently working through a wicked problem or complex issues. Are you creating a strategic plan, writing new operation procedures, launching a new program, or reinventing your mission on how you deliver impact? Thinking through it with us and utilizing the principles of strategic design to build out a solution with support of this cohort. So that would be cohort 1. Cohort 2, upskill, reskill capable leaders to become even more effective development directors with AI assistance. And with this, it would be, do you have campaigns, fundraisers, development goals you're looking to supercharge? Look to Skilly to fill the blanks specific to your organization. Create an internal database of donors and funders questions that trains an AI assistant to better manage development activities and guarantees greater answers to donor questions. And then cohort 3 is hiring and training your first AI development assistant. How could AI help? And with this cohort, how could AI help my organization thrive? Learn how to incubate and train your organization's first digital employee and be externally facing development assistant. Turn website inquiries into new donors and stronger partnerships by optimizing an ethical and accountable AI. Please feel free to inquire with Emily here at the Forbes Funds, our GPMP director, if you have any questions in regard to these cohorts that are launching in July and August. And I can type her, Bree can type her email in the chat just in case. Thank you for joining us today. We're going to launch our community solutions survey. Please take some time to fill that out, as it gives us better ideas of what you're looking for in terms of our programming. And also look for our upcoming speakers in June and July. Thank you for joining.